The group is not anti-stadium. As a matter of fact, there are a number of people within the group that are very excited about the stadium coming to Cobb County. They love the Braves. They think it's going to be great for Cobb County to have the stadium here. There are just questions about the lack of transparency and the lack of public input. One thing that we wanted to do in starting the program this evening was to have an update so that everybody can find out what happened between the last meeting and tonight, and in keeping with trying to keep everyone informed about what's going on, we would like to have an update on the commission meeting, the Cobb County Commission meeting. Yes, sir.
May I ask you to do something? We have some candidates for office, and we have one of the commissioners on site.
Okay.
Commissioner Art, if you think that's proper to just
Absolutely, and I apologize, I'm from Gwinnett, so I don't recognize everybody by face, but I would like to welcome all of those with elected office and those who are running for office. I had the opportunity to meet a few of you. Commissioner...
What is your name, ma'am? And what organization may you represent besides this one? Could you give us some background on who is moderating this program?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'm Sabrina Smith. I am a contributor to Georgia Watchdogs. I'm the chairman of Gwinnett Citizens for Responsible Government. I'm on the board of Common Cause, and I am working with Citizens for Government Transparency here in Cobb County. And I do apologize, I was not supposed to start tonight, so I'm just winging it right now. But if I believe that Commissioner Ott is here. Commissioner Ott, would you stand up, please? Thank you. We appreciate you coming here tonight very much. And are there any other elected officials who are already here? And those candidates who are running for office, if you would stand up and introduce yourself, I would appreciate it. Are there any other candidates here? Yeah, I know Nathan's in the back. Would you please introduce yourself?
Joseph Pond. I'm running for District 3 Commissioner.
Thank you very much.
I'm Cindy Yeager, and I'm running for Cobb Solicitor General.
I'm Mary Cater, and I'm running for District 39, State Representative.
Thank you. Nathan?
And I'm Nathan Wade, and I'm running for Superior Court Judge.
Anyone else here who is running for office?
I'm not running, but I'm here representing David Pennington, who is running for governor.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you acknowledging that you're here on his behalf. Rich?
I'm going to sit in for Sharon until she gets here.
Okay. And I think that would be great. Rich, I'm going to let you introduce yourself to the group, and I'm going to let you start with the update on the commission meeting and the council meetings.
Thanks, and sorry I'm late. I think I don't need this. I can talk loud.
Let's cut that off. There. Is that better for everybody? Yes.
Yeah, I apologize for being late. Everybody knows white people are always late.
You can't jump.
Not one of those jokes.
My name's Rich Pellegrino. I represent Cobb Immigrant Alliance, Cobb United for Change Coalition, and here proud to be part of this coalition, CGT, Citizens for Governmental Transparency. And I want to just give you a brief history. I'm sitting in for Sharon Hill, who will be here shortly. She looks a lot better than I do, I guarantee you. I just want to give you a little brief history of CGT, where we came from, how we got started, and then we're going to talk tonight and give really you the opportunity to share your feelings and opinions. But I also want to recognize some of the founding member groups of CGT that came together during the announcement of the Braves move here in November 11th, I believe it was. Are any of the representatives of those groups present? Would you stand and introduce yourself? Please, what group you represent?
Kenneth Howell, I'm with the Georgia Community Coalition and Amalgamated Transit Union representative.
Thank you.
I'm Tom Barksdale. I'm chair of the East Cobb Democratic Alliance.
Okay. And other, I'm sorry.
Jim Cerati, I represent the Madison Forum Group. You know, I had taken over Mike Always position.
Great. Oh, really? You're the director now?
Yeah, I represent.
While he's running for office. Great. Some of the other groups, founding groups, were Cobb Taxpayers Association, Lance Lamberton, who is working tonight. The SCLC Cobb chapter, Dr. Ben Williams, who at the last minute was called to a legal briefing tonight, and the conservative,
Madison Forum.
Madison Forum, we just had a representative, but the conservative union, the Tea Party, Debbie Dooley with the Atlanta Tea Party Patriots, and various other groups, the Powder Springs Task Force, and if I'm leaving any out, I apologize. But during the week of November, in November, when the announcement was made that the Braves were coming here, which was a great surprise to everybody, not an unwelcome surprise to most, including many people here and groups here. We always love to have sports teams and of course, development and advancement in Cobb County or anywhere in Georgia or where we're living. But I sent out, I and a few other people, Lance and so forth, we woke up in the middle of the night kind of at the same time and said, wait a second, I thought a year and a half ago the county commissioners, the chairman especially, told us we were in austerity, that we had to cut busing, police, education, library, essential services, and that we had to raise property taxes for that purpose. And even after those taxes were raised, we were going to have still cuts to the essential services. So then when I saw that we were going to chip in, you know, nearly $500 million for the Braves move to come here, something just didn't sound right. I sent an email out, which I do. If I warned you, if you get on my email list, you might get more than you want. And
Always read them.
and I got back the biggest response that I ever got in my life, and that was, yeah, you know, I mean, there were, you know, people weren't against the Braves coming here, but the fact that we're investing, you know, nearly $500 million when we're supposedly in austerity. And so quickly we pulled together, we had a meeting, and for the first time in my life, and in, as far as I know, Cobb County, we had the right, the left, the middle, the Republicans, the Democrats, the Libertarians, the SCLC, Nation of Islam, and Tea Party. We had the most diverse group that we've ever had, which is great to me. That's, you know, that's what I live for, is to learn from others, try to see through others' viewpoints and so forth. So we agreed on one thing, or several things, and the main thing was transparency. We can all agree that we want transparency, we want our elected officials to be transparent, accountability, fiduciary responsibility. So this Braves deal, proposed deal, brought out all of those feelings and issues and that unity. And so we've been together and growing since November, since the announcement. We respectfully asked the commissioners, the Board of Commission, for a delay of 60 days, just so this massive proposal could be vetted and there could be taxpayer input and, you know, what would most people would deem a normal process, vetting process. And that was, of course, turned down, except for Commissioner Cupid, who has always stood up bravely and courageously for transparency and for what we're standing for. And I'm not just giving her props because it's my district. No, I'm joking. But seriously, because she did this, I think everybody has recognized that that's a courageous stance, and one in favor of the people. So there's been various activities since, and you cut me. You're the chairperson, so you cut me down because I can talk. But I'll wrap it up. We've formed task forces and committees to look at various lines of action. We've asked the commissioners constantly for transparency and for taxpayer participation. Really happy that Commissioner Ott is here and respect him for coming tonight. And we've explored ways in which if we don't get that participation, we don't get that invitation to the table, ways that we can legally, ethically slow down the process, regardless of what the Board of Commissioners or the chairman wants, because we're the people. They're the servants of the people. They've been elected to serve us, and we need to empower ourselves and others to do this. So we're looking at ethical issues. By the way, today there was an ethical complaint filed in the court by a Cobb taxpayer against the four commissioners who voted for it. I just got a copy of that. So we decided as a group to visit the ethics board, Cobb County Ethics Board, and find out, have there been ethical violations? I mean, was skirting the Georgia Sunshine Law an ethical, if not an illegal, move? We've had people investigating the real estate deals, the environmental impact, you name it, every aspect. The transportation, we've got transportation issues. You know, where's the money coming for transportation and for this BART and for, you know, all of these proposals? Public safety blew up. You know, we already knew, having been meeting with the police department monthly to review their, you know, arrest statistics and so forth. They've been opening the books to us, thankfully, for a year, that they were short-staffed, furloughed, underfunded, and then the director of public safety resigned and confirmed that. And at the last Board of Commissioners meeting, the room was packed with the police saying, basically, shame on you. You have a 3-year plan for the Braves, but no plan for public safety. No 3-year plan for public safety. So these are some of the developments. It's been going pretty quickly. Tonight, this is our second town hall meeting. What was gratifying to me about the first town hall meeting we had in East Cobb was several people showed up. I see one friend here, and probably others, who said, you know, I don't usually come to these things, or this is the first time I've come out, but I want my marching orders. You know, enough is enough. We have to take control of our county and hold our elected officials accountable. So tonight, we want the same process. We want you to be able to share. This is the people's meeting. It's not our meeting. We will put you to work, and we will ask you to sign up. You don't have to. You don't have to sign in if you don't want to.
Yes, they do.
Okay. And also, I should say, and I'll close, and I'll let Sharon resume her duty here. Through people coming out, ordinary people like yourself, myself, I have kids, I'm a taxpayer here, I work a job and do this on the side because I love to. But through this, many, many people have been empowered, whether they've joined CGT formally or not. We've seen the school board stand up against tax breaks, you know, unethical tax breaks for developers. Since then, we've seen transparency become a byword again at the state capitol, and we've seen groups, and Sabrina, who's been working in Gwinnett way before us on transparency with the commission there, formed a statewide website and watchdog, was it Georgia?
GeorgiaWatchdogs.com.
So we're happy to have her as an ally, and Paulding is organizing, and other counties are organizing. So it bodes well for the people to work together. And with that, I'll shut up, and I will take my seat back just as a regular troublemaker in the audience. You're welcome, Sharon. Thank you.
Come on up here, Sharon. I'll just say one thing, and then I'm going to turn it over to Sharon, and I appreciate what you had to say. Rich, you gave a wonderful overview of everything that has happened since the last meeting and the reason that all of these people came together. Some of you may be wondering why someone from Gwinnett County is here tonight, and Rich touched on that. One of the reasons why is because what we've been dealing with in Gwinnett County is what you're dealing with here in Cobb, and as he mentioned, what people in Paulding County, DeKalb County, Douglas County, Cherokee County, Union County, it's all over the state of Georgia. And GeorgiaWatchdogs.com is a website that empowers people to be able to file open records requests to learn more about what's going on in their government. And I love what this group is doing because I wish there had been an organization like this when we first started in Gwinnett County with some of the issues that we had there. They might not have reached the extent that they had. They might not have gotten as far out of hand had we had more people who were engaged. So I wanted to be a part of this. I admire you greatly for doing it. There are a lot of other organizations that are willing to help you, and they're watching what you're doing here in Cobb because they want to do what you're doing. There are some statewide organizations and national organizations like Common Cause. They're very interested in helping you because their interest is in transparency and in open government. There are a lot of other organizations that want to step in and help you, as you can see from all the number of organizations that have come together to work on this particular issue. So I encourage all of you to take a role and to get involved in this. And I'm not kidding when I'm saying you should not leave here tonight unless you have some marching orders and unless you want to accomplish something. Because you'd be amazed at what you're going to be able to do, even a small group of people, and the impact that you can have. So thank you very much. And Sharon Hill, I'm going to turn it over to you.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome. How is everyone this evening? Let's get this going. Let's get this party started.
Well, we are in church.
We are in church. No, we are going to, this is the Citizens' Voice Party. That's what time it is. Noting that this is the 50th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act. That is very important because how is it that right now citizens' voices everywhere are rising up every day? The latest is what, did you hear the news last week? It was one story right behind the other. The residents of Johns Creek not wanting 200 homes. Okay, we can have 100, but 200 homes, that's what they wanted to do. And then Simpsonwood, if you hadn't heard about it, Simpsonwood Retreat, where it was actually in the deed that no development. However, well, a few years ago, apparently, a judge ruled that enough time had passed. And now it's being considered it's over 270-something acres. So 11 citizens came together and filed a suit. This is not coincidence. This is us standing up and saying that we want our government back of the people, because our elected officials come from our ballot for the people because they're representing us. And of course, since they come from us, it is by the people. And we have to hold them accountable, and this is where we begin. So right now, I don't know if you saw the Marietta Daily Journal account today that called us anti-Braves. For the record, we are not anti-Braves. You have it, okay, and I clipped it and it's right there at the door. That's right, we are not anti-Braves. So I actually tweeted earlier at MDJ Online that we, CGT, Citizens for Governmental Transparency, is not anti-Braves. Yes, some of us do not want it, but there are others who it doesn't matter. What matters is the process. What happened to, and the people said. So I would like to, let's do this action right now. Do you have, whoever has a smartphone, tablet, or whatever, in real time to let them hear from you? That it's, if you can tweet or even post on your Facebook, okay, Facebook or whatever, at MDJ Online. Make your message known. Let them hear the voices, because they just think it's just a couple of people, actually, really. But it's not. It's not. We're standing up for those who may have questions, who have been talking amongst themselves, but don't have the time. to find out. And so, if it is to be, it's up to you and me, all of us. We have to get this done and then take it to them. And that's really what this is about. So, are we ready? Did you do it already? All right. How you say it? Blow it up, make it happen. Blow it up, make it happen.
I think that's for him.
That's for him. I picked up the wrong one. How about that one? Sorry about that.
Well, we cut it off. There was
That was too
feedback.
much feedback.
And I
But
think
we're not
the
going to worry
acoustics in
about
here
it.
are great.
We're not going to worry about
Is
it.
it working for you?
I'm okay.
Okay. Thank Rich for bringing us up to date on the committees that you have been working on. Okay, so as we go down our list, just so you know, we had action items at our first town hall meeting. And everyone raised their hands and said, yes, I want to do something. So what we came up with was going to the commission meetings, council meetings, the Board of Ethics, legal research. I don't see Lance Lamberton. You mentioned, though, that he filed the lawsuit today.
No, not him, Larry Savage.
Larry, okay. Transportation, and Mr. Ken Howell is here. Legislative policies, as well as development. The tax district and bond funding. And Mr. Barstow, he said, we need to replace them. Now we need to go find some candidates. Okay? And that's what time it is for us to make the change happen. So we do have some sheets for you to pick what you would like to be involved with back there with Charlie Levinson. And in the meantime, our next report, Mr. Ken Howell, transportation. Very important news for South Cobb area, but also the Braves Stadium plan.
Yeah. Good evening. Good evening. As you said, my name is Ken Howell, and I represent the Georgia Community Coalition and the Amalgamated Transit Union, which represents MARTA, CGT, and Gwinnett. At the Cobb Transit Committee meeting last Monday, the committee voted 7-3 to 2 to approve the mass transit system that they want to bring to Cobb County. There's a flyer on the back table back there that tells you what it is Bus Rapid Transit, BRTs. What they are, if you remember, there used to be 2 buses connected together. They call them articulated buses, like an accordion in the middle. Those are the plans that are moving forward to run that service from Kennesaw down through Marietta, Smyrna, Cumberland area, up to 75 to the Arts Center and back. Now, we can see this as good and bad. As a transit person and a transit employee, I see it as good because it expands transit in our area. But it's the same plan that we discussed back during the 1 cent referendum. And it was the same service that we wanted back during the 1 cent referendum. That didn't pass. And we worked very hard to make sure that it didn't pass, because of the legislation that they wanted to move behind it. what it wound up being was a takeover of transit in the southeast region by the government, by the state government. State government does not fund transit. The state of Georgia does not fund transit. There's very little money that they put into transit. However, they wanted to write the legislation to run it and take over the Cobb County money that we run our buses with, and Gwinnett and Marta, and tell them how to run their services when they don't want to put any money in. So until the state of Georgia decides that they want to fund transit, they need to stay out of our business. Mind your own business. The other thing that I can say good for transit, and I applaud the commissioners for what they did. There was some very serious service cuts to CCT, Cobb Community Transit, up in southwest Cobb County. And there were a lot of people in that area who could no longer get to work, doctor's appointment, grocery stores, paratransit services were cut even in East Cobb. And it really hurt our community. Those services have not been brought back, but there are now plans, and it has been approved by the Cobb Transit Authority, to incorporate 3 transit zones that we will service through CCT and our vendor there, Veolia Transit, to have a bus in that area where people can call in and reserve to be picked up at their homes, out in front of their homes, and brought out to the main line. That way those people, those elderly people who have doctor's appointments, dialysis, who don't have paratransit services, dialysis patients, because we transport a lot of dialysis patients, we need to make sure that they have services in their community. There's a lot of nursing homes in that area, where when we cut the transit, where people used to walk down or get a ride down to Veterans Memorial and just jump on the Route 30, they could no longer do that because we cut the service in that area. So now we cut the Route 35. So now we're moving into an area where the Braves have come in, and all of a sudden we've got this service that's going to service Cumberland. We're changing the Route 20 and adding a Route 25. Those don't look like a lot of you ride the bus, but park your car sometime and come, leave the driving to us. Yeah. But they're adding a new Route 25 that will bring service to the Cumberland area all the way over to Six Flags, coming through Smyrna, Marietta, and Powder Springs. Service will be going to Powder Springs out as far as the Ron Anderson Center. So there are some gains, but we need to make sure that we hold our elected officials' feet to the fire. We need to be at the table when decisions are being made, not being brought in after they make a decision. You work for me. I don't know how much of my tax money you're getting, but you're getting some of it. And you've been getting it for a long time. So it's time that you remember who's boss. The community is the boss. And if we don't start standing up for ourselves through these organizations and saying no when we know that it needs to be no, and ask for transparency in our governments, then we're going to continue to have the same type government that we have today, which, well, all of us are opposed to. But that's all I have tonight. Thank you so much for coming out, and keep coming.
Hold on, Ken. Questions?
In terms of the way that you said that they're going to put in new bus services and they're going to reroute routes and all that, can you tell me, as it relates to transparency, where the money is coming from? All right? And on the funding side, as to what effect it will have on those folks that live where I live, East Cobb, versus those folks live in South Cobb or live up.
It's not gonna affect you at all. Not even the paratransit service is being restored out there, but that services is being provided by the Cobb County senior buses. The 65 ran in East Cobb. It ran from the Marietta Transfer Center down Roswell Road, right on Johnson's Ferry, all the way over to Dunwoody Station. They cut that service due to a lack of ridership. I drove the 65 for 4 years. I love that route. There were a lot of people who worked in that area. A lot of our Hispanic people who ride the bus to that area because they worked out there. They could no longer get to work. We have people now who have to get off the 50 at the Big Chicken and walk down there. But there are no plans to restore services out there. But it's one step at a time with the Georgia Community Coalition. Our next step when it comes to transit would be if the zone transit works in South Cobb, which we have every reason to believe it will. It's going to be highly promoted and marketed, that it will succeed out there. Then we can ask for that service in East Cobb. As far as the funding is concerned,
That's what
I'm not very sure about all of the funding.
Mr. Otter, are you familiar with that, sir?
Yes. That was actually one of the questions that I asked. The initial funding for the buses and everything is coming from existing federal grants. But in the interest of the discussions I had with some of you all about trying to establish the flex route, it is a concern I have about the long-term funding of the service, because fare box revenue never covers the cost of the transit. But in the discussions with Commissioner Cupid, you know, it's not going to cover the whole expense. There probably will be some of the expense that has to come out of the future county budgets. And as for Route 65, that cannot, you know, sustain itself. So I do not see that coming back.
Can I continue with that conversation? If, I think I heard what you told me, that for, let's say, for a year or 2 years, there will be funding that will come out of the budget. After that, you have on the outline plans, you don't have any idea as to where it's going to come. Is that correct?
No, when I asked the question, I asked the same question you asked,
Yes.
Director DeMasso. There is money in the budget right now to start it up.
Okay.
The future budget, according to what she told me, okay, the initial funding cost is about 1.6 million. I think for Route 25, and I forget the amount for the Route 35. Over time, it drops down to about 600,000 for all 3 routes. That is what she told me. As you're expressing your concern, that was my concern also, because I do not believe that it's accounted for beyond the next couple of years.
And that's my point.
Yes,
We're
and I agree with you.
We're third year now. You told me about year 1 and year 2. And it's $1.5 million or 2 million or 3 million, I don't care. All right, but the first number is. Well, my concern is what happens when we get to year 2 and year 3 and so forth. Whether if you tell me that the fare boxes, that's what you last time.
Right, yeah, the fare boxes, the revenue,
pay
yeah,
for
right.
it. Who's going to pay for it?
Well, and you raise a valid point, which is the one I asked.
The first 3 years, the federal funding is $4.3 million. So it's going to cover the first 3 years of funding for that service. After then we're going to have to go back to the drawing board. And well, before then, hopefully, we can't wait till the end of it. But after then, we can move on. The funding will be there. We spend so much money on stuff that we don't need, and we find that money. We can find the money for transit. Yes, sir.
Let me ask you a question. Tell me how this works. You told me that they're getting ready to put some bus routes out there to pick people up that they took away. Okay? How does that work?
It's 3 zones.
No. Let me ask the question another way. If I already had something, you took it away from me, and then you gave it back to me, you didn't give me anything. So what I'm simply saying is the commissioners or whoever cut the bus routes out there, right, to begin with, okay? Whoever cut, the commissioners or whatever the authority we have out here that allow that to happen ought to be just choked. Because
Well,
you just took something away from me. That's not mathematically correct.
Yes, sir. And I understand how you could feel that way. But nobody gives anybody anything.
You took something
You
away from me.
you have to work for it. We spent 3 years working to restore that service out there. They didn't give it to us.
Right.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
We spent that time
Hold, let me get back.
going through it. No, I understand, but I want you to understand, because the question that you raised is really, I don't feel like it's legitimate, because it doesn't face today. We have people who need to get to work today.
Let me say
And if I can work today to provide that service and to have the Cobb County Commission do what they did to provide that service out there, then I'm happy to have that service, and I'm not ready to fight yesterday's war again.
What I'm just only suggesting is this. I'm suggesting that whoever commissioners are don't have the word planning in their vocabulary. If they knew how to plan, this never would have occurred.
No, let me answer. I can answer.
And there's other people have been waiting. There's plenty of hands that have been waiting for one.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Otley, you talked about $600,000 after the first 3 years. Is that per each one of those routes to sustain them, or for the 3 of them?
No, my understanding, the answer I got to my question was for the 3 of them. And answer the other gentleman's question, you're partially right, partially.
No, I ain't partially
No,
right, I'm right.
What's different
No, I'm not partially right.
Let's let him
I am
respond,
right.
please.
We gotta be respectful.
I am correct.
We have to be
What's different is
respectable.
the reason it's called flex route is what, number one, there's a third route that was added that is new. The flex route is what, I don't remember who mentioned it, the expanding the service to try to reach more people. That's what's different about the route, is the fact that it's flex route and the addition of Route 25. Route 25, as approved by the commission, did not exist in the past. You are correct that Route 35 and Route 30 are brought back, but Route 25 is new.
Route 35.
Right, Route 35.
35 and the 70.
Right. But
The
flex-
70 is
flex
not being brought
bus
back.
is what's different about what was there before. And I think, you explained that before.
Yes, sir.
Is the $600,000 to sustain them on top of what you're going to get from the fare box revenue?
Yes.
Okay.
She had a question.
Good evening.
Hi.
I'm Monica Delancey. I'm from Upstate Community Task Force. And I would like to say that we just was notified that Commissioner Cupid will hold a flex bus route meeting on March 31st at the South Cobb Recreation Center. So for those who have those questions or concerns, mark your calendar for March 31st at 7 p.m. at the South Cobb Recreation Center.
Thank you. There are going to be several of those out in each of the 3 zones.
Any other questions?
Rich.
Was anybody before me? No? Back to BRT,
Oh, yeah.
okay?
Bus rapid transit.
I have the same question this gentleman had about, I think at the last meeting, somebody talked about funny numbers in terms of funding that. And that was one of the problems with the SPLOST, is that, the funds that were allowed for that or for the light rail, or whatever it was, would maybe fund 1 mile of it. What's the situation with the BRT? Where's the money coming from for all this?
I can give you cost, Rich, but I cannot give you the funding. The cost is, we're looking at $13.2 million a mile to put it in. It has to run straight down the middle of Cobb County, of Cobb Parkway, because those type of buses cannot run on the sides because of the businesses, the intersections and so forth. So the last estimate that I saw, the research that I did, was $13.2 million a mile. The infrastructure is going to have to be changed. There are going to have to be some lane changes at intersections for the left-hand turns, because left-hand turns will be a no. So that, you know, there's a lot that goes to implementing that type of service.
How many miles?
I think it's 25. That's 20.
26 miles times 13 plus million per mile.
Could Commissioner Ott answer the question as far as the source of funds? He's talked about the construction.
All right, let me clarify first. I am not in favor of the BRT. I haven't been in favor of it from day one. For a lot of the reasons that were mentioned over here, we have not gotten the brief on BRT, but basically it started out at 1-point-something billion. And then we were told, and I think everyone's read it in the paper, that it is down around 400 million. I think a lot of you know that my real job is I'm a pilot with Delta, okay? Delta does not start service between two cities in the hope of getting people to fly between those cities. And BRT is just that. The route that you're talking about going between KSU and Cumberland, most of the businesses on that road are auto dealers. There is not a lot of traffic, okay? It is a public works project looking for a place to spend money. So I just, you know, I'm not in favor of it now. I'm supposed to have a meeting with the chairman next week. I believe either at this work session or next month, the commissioners are going to get briefed on the Northwest Corridor study.
Commissioner Ott, I do have to thank you because I know a lot of times when elected officials show up at town hall meetings, whether they're for or against an issue, if they're there, they get to answer all of the questions, and we'll probably continue to call on you. But we appreciate it because a lot of elected officials won't take the time or they don't want the heat. But thank you very much for being here and for answering our questions.
For 39th District, and I see Deanne here, and Thomas was asking a question, which I want to kind of sort of revisit, and I know J.C. Reynolds, former J.C. Reynolds, some of us worked on the first, when Rachelman brought transit into Cobb County, we were here, Deanne, Thomas, and many others. Why did they cut the service to South Cobb County? We busted our behinds out there working to get it there. That's what he was asking, I think.
That's not what he was asking, but I answered your question. The reason we...
Y'all my question. Okay. Why did they cut it? Okay, because I know I was with Rachel on that first committee out there. In the newspaper many times. Why did they cut it to the lowest, poorest community who rides buses, and now you want to bring it back? Why? Why did you cut it?
The reason I didn't cut it, I didn't cut it. I'm union, I don't cut y'all. But the reason that those routes were cut because they couldn't sustain themselves. The ridership was not at a level to where you could pay for the buses. The 35 was good in the AM and the PM where it came out of Austell because it took people to home station and
3 hours to get there? Or 4? Because I rode it.
So really the answer to the question is that it was based upon ridership.
it's based
and whether or
upon the
not it was paying for
ridership.
itself.
The same reason they cut to 65 because of ridership. The routes compete against each other. And if the routes, the 70 was also cut. So when they look at all the routes, when they start looking at service cuts, they look at which routes are sustaining themselves, which routes are doing the best. And if a route is not holding its own, then that's the first place it gets cut.
So you're going to try it to see if it works, and if it don't work, you're going to cut them again?
Well, please stop saying you. No, we don't plan to allow that to happen. We fought to get this service updated and reinstated through the Georgia Community Coalition.
Can I
and yeah,
We're going to have
on,
one
Mike.
more comment on transportation and move to another topic.
Okay.
Okay.
I was a part of Georgia Community Coalition, And see, what they're asking are the same questions we asked. That's why they're bringing the routes back. It's because we asked the same questions you guys are asking, and they're bringing the routes back because of that. So we're actually a part of you guys that we understood that those routes need to be brought back. So we went to the transportation system and we told them that we needed those routes back, and they're giving them back to us now. So that was kind of, I want Kenny to understand that he's a part of you, and he's representing you. The same questions you asked, he went back to Faith and told them that we needed our routes back. And this is what they're offering us right now.
But we can't keep doing the same thing the same way all the time. There's got to be a change in this. This is not going to work.
Understand, and those are the questions that we have to bring to them, because we're understanding what you're saying, and we want to hear that, but we have to take it to them and get the answers from them. But we wanted somewhere to start from. We wanted to get the routes back right now.
And the community is the one who determines if the routes stay. Because if you don't ride the buses, they will be cut. We have to ride the buses.
Well, I just want to say something briefly because other people, the reason why they cut it is plain and simple, because they could.
That's right.
Because we weren't
Now,
here.
that's the reason.
That's the reason
That's
why.
what I was alluding
Okay,
to.
the reason why the Braves have come here and we're investing $500 million when we don't have money for public safety, our pensions are not funded, you know, is because they thought they could, but they can't anymore. That's why we're here.
And let me just clarify something with you in terms of what you said, that I said that we miscommunicated with one another, because we were on the same page. I was simply asking you, maybe my communication skills are eroded. Maybe I don't know what, maybe you and I are not communicating correctly. What I'm simply saying to you is, in my personal opinion, I don't think people who are on the Cobb County Commission know the word planning. They don't know what that means. So as a result, they just take things from one to the other, okay? Instead of saying, let's plan this thing, and let's plan this thing over some intervals. And I don't care if the interval is a year, 2 years, or 3 years, okay? And then at the end of that interval, at the end of the first year, let's plan again. They don't know how to do that. And you can't make me believe that, because I've been living out here since 1976, and I've been saying this since 1976, and it's still occurring.
All right, I understand that, but we have to clarify, we have to clear our communications, because if we've been saying the same thing over and over, then we have not been learning from what we were saying. So we are going to have to start working towards making communications much better, being at the table when decisions are being made, rather than being brought in after a decision.
I agree.
If there is no transparency, you can't be brought in ahead of time because you're not even aware of it. And I think that even this issue right here exemplifies why we're all here tonight. We need to know it in advance, and I think actually the two of you agree. It's just you're very frustrated as a result of what has happened. And again, instead of asking certain people why this occurred, we need to all have a voice and have a say-so and be more involved in what's going on in advance, so that these things that we don't want to happen don't continue to happen. And there are a couple of questions we're going to take on transportation. These people have been very patient, waiting to ask their questions, and then we're going to move to another topic.
Yes.
Yes.
My question is kind of, it will blend transit and cars. Cobb County roads are congested, very congested, when we're going to work and when we're coming home. I live kind of South Cobb, Windy Hill area, and I work in Midtown. I've tried all sorts of different routes. There are different ways I can go. I'm learning my back roads and learning how to best get to 75. And there is no best. It all depends.
Right.
I would love, like you said, if I can go and get the bus. There's a bus that goes down Windy Hill right at the end of my road. First, I have to get across Windy Hill to get to that bus stop, which is 5 lanes where I am.
Yeah.
So I can go up and over the crosswalk and down and get it. But once I get on that bus, it's going to take me twice as long as if I drive my car to Midtown. But I'm wondering if as part of this, the Braves are coming, we can make changes, that we can make changes not only to maybe 1 or 2 bus routes that might be helpful, but to the overall system of the roads, the interchanges, the making things more feasible. I mean, like you said, from Kennesaw to Cumberland, you know, could also go around Barrett Parkway, east-west connector. There could be more ridership going that way instead of just going straight down 41. You know, I would ride the bus. I used to ride the bus and the train when I lived in Decatur. I thought it was great. I got all sorts of reading done. I did a lot of people watching. I did a lot of interacting
That's
with
the
others.
fun part, isn't it?
I got great exercise running the escalators and the stairs in the bus. I would rather take public transportation, but I would rather see public transportation work. And we've got some intersections and some, I mean, one of the things that I would think would be great, that maybe, I don't know if the commission can help work with the state on this. But if the Braves Stadium is going in where it's going in, doing 285, getting off the ramp, going up 41, that little dog leg, and over to Spring, is going to be more mayhem than it is already. And I'm not sure how many other people have seen that mayhem, either in the morning or at night. But it's mayhem.
I drive through
Can we
it.
take this opportunity to make transit?
We're going to give you 1 minute to solve all of those problems. We know you can do it.
I'm willing to be part of the solution. I'm not just going to.
And I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, over the next period of time, prior to the announcement of the Braves, there's about $500 to $600 million worth of road projects. Part of the Windy Hill issue, there's a Windy Hill West, a Windy Hill East, and the Divergent Diamond. Windy Hill West goes from Town Parkway 41 to the interchange. It's going to add a raised median, reduce the curb cuts, improve the traffic flow, alignments to get people across from 41 to the interchange. Windy Hill East goes from the interchange to Powers Ferry Road. It's more of an alignment to kind of smooth the traffic.
What about getting people from South Cobb Drive to 41?
Let me finish. Okay, one of the big choke points on Windy Hill is the interchange itself. Okay, there's a Divergent Diamond interchange that's going to be put in place if you're familiar with Perimeter Mall. The difference is the one over by Perimeter is confined to the bridge. But what's going to be different, and this will help with the alignments and the traffic, is the Divergent Diamond at Windy Hill is going to go to the Gulf Station. You'll realign Circle 75, and it'll go to Papados on the other side, and Leland Drive will be aligned with the traffic light. Improve the safety at Papados, the traffic coming out of Papados, the traffic coming out of Circle 75, which corresponds to the Braves. As for the infamous Spring Road 41, the county is working on a design to address that issue. 41 is being widened from the bridge to Acres Mill. There's a new bridge with extra lanes being built right now at 41 in the river. Let's see, Leland Drive, the county is working on a project to connect Windy Hill to Terrell Mill so that it connects to Bentley and also Interstate North Parkway. So you could conceivably go from Delk Road all the way to Acres Mill Road without ever having to come on Powers Ferry Road to help relieve the traffic, to kind of build a grid network. So all of those things are already in the works. In addition to managed lanes that the state is building, the first exit will be at Terrell Mill Road. So there's a lot of that, and that was all pre-Braves. And so now with the announcement of the Braves, there's additional work looking at the CCT routes that currently go to the Kiss and Ride behind Cumberland Mall. There's discussions about moving that or adding to that, bringing it to the Braves complex so that people that want to get to the stadium, obviously you don't want to take them behind Cumberland Mall and then have them have to figure out how to get to the stadium. There's a circulator bus system that will go all the way down towards the river and all the way up toward, not Windy Hill, just a little bit north of Windy Hill and over to Powers Ferry, that will be designed so that people do not have to get in their cars to go around the Cumberland area and to the stadium. So all that's going to happen over the next 3 to 4 years.
There's another question in the back.
I wanted to respond to that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I wanted to respond. The with all due respect, Commissioner, all of those changes that you just mentioned involve cars.
Thank you.
They involve cars. They do not involve mass transit. The BRTs, if the BRT system is implemented and running straight up Carr Parkway, we can always bring in the traffic from both sides with the existing buses that we have.